Audiobook, How to Think Clearly and Make Better Decisions. Welcome, friends. I'm so glad you're here. Let me ask you something. Have you ever made a decision and later thought, what was I thinking? You're not alone. In today's fast-paced, noisy world, clear thinking is more important than ever. From choosing what to eat for dinner to deciding on a career move or a relationship change, our lives are shaped by the decisions we make every single day. But most of us were never taught how to think clearly or how to make good decisions. This audiobook is your guide. You'll learn how to quiet the noise, trust your process, and make choices that truly reflect who you are. Let me share a quick story. A man named Ravi once had 2 job offers. One offered more money but came with stress and long hours. The other paid less but gave him peace of mind and time for his family. Ravi sat down with a notebook, listed what mattered most: health, time with kids, peace, and chose the second job. A year later, he said it was the best decision he ever made. Clear thinking isn't about being perfect. It's about knowing what matters and making choices from that place. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Power of Clear Thinking. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever made a decision in a hurry only to regret it later? Maybe you said something in anger. Maybe you bought something expensive and later wondered, did I really need that? Or maybe you took a job, chose a partner, or made a big life choice that didn't turn out the way you hoped. It's okay. We've all been there. That's the thing about life, it's full of decisions. Small ones, like what to eat or wear. Big ones, like who to trust, where to live, what career to build. And every one of those decisions shapes our future. Now, here's the truth. It's not the number of decisions that matter. It's the quality of decisions. And the quality of your decisions depends on one skill: your ability to think clearly. What is clear thinking? Clear thinking doesn't mean being super smart. It doesn't mean knowing all the answers. It means seeing things as they truly are, not how you wish they were, or how you fear they might be. It means removing the fog of emotions, assumptions, stress, and noise, so you can make choices that actually align with your truth. Think of your mind like a window. If the glass is dirty, dusty with stress, fogged by emotions, cracked by fear, you can't see clearly. Clear thinking is like cleaning that glass. It helps you see reality as it is, not as your anxious mind paints it. Why is clear thinking so important? Because decisions are like dominoes. One bad decision can lead to months, or even years, of unnecessary struggle. And one good decision? It can change your entire life. Let me tell you a short story. Maya was 29. She had been working hard in a small company for 6 years. Suddenly, 2 job offers came her way. First offer, a big brand. High salary. Prestige. But it was known to have a toxic work culture. Second offer, a medium-sized startup. Decent pay. No fancy perks. But the team was kind, the culture was collaborative, and her heart felt at ease there. Naturally, her first reaction was, go for the money. You deserve it. Her family agreed. Her friends were excited. Everyone told her, it's your big break. But something inside her hesitated. So she paused. She took out a notebook and asked herself, what do I really value? What do I want to feel every day? What's more important, status or peace? She even visualized herself 6 months into both jobs. And the answer became clear. She chose second offer. And it turned out to be the best decision of her life. Why? Because she didn't just think emotionally. She didn't just follow the crowd. She thought clearly. What blocks clear thinking? Let's be honest, clear thinking isn't always easy. There are many things that get in the way. Stress, fear of missing out, pressure from others, old beliefs and past experiences, trying to please everyone, social media noise. We live in a world of distractions. A world of instant reactions. A world where we're taught to be fast, not thoughtful. But the truth is, slowing down is your superpower. The first step to clear thinking. Here's something powerful to remember. Clarity comes when you pause. Pause before replying. Pause before deciding. Pause before assuming. That small pause creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, lives your power to choose wisely. Try this. Next time you face a tough decision, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what do I really want? What matters to me in the long run? Am I being honest with myself? That short reflection can make all the difference. You don't need to have it all figured out. But if you can think clearly, even in moments of pressure, you will make better decisions, lead a better life, and create a future that truly feels like yours. Because the quality of your life is directly tied to the quality of your decisions. And the quality of your decisions? That begins with clear thinking. Chapter 2: The Hidden Enemies of Good Decisions. Let's begin with a simple truth. You don't always think the way you think. We all like to believe we're rational, logical, and objective. But in reality, much of our thinking is quietly shaped by invisible forces, mental shortcuts, emotional impulses, and internal biases. They whisper in the background, influencing what we see, how we feel, and what we choose. These hidden forces are the enemies of clear thinking. And if we don't learn to spot them, they'll keep driving our decisions, often in the wrong direction. What are mental biases? A bias is like a mental blind spot. It's a tendency to think in a certain way that may be flawed or misleading. Think of it like this. If your brain is a GPS, biases are the small glitches that send you down the wrong road, even when you believe you're going the right way. They don't make you stupid. They just make you human. Bias 1. Confirmation bias. Let's start with one of the most common ones, confirmation bias. This is when you seek out, remember, or give more importance to information that supports what you already believe, and ignore everything that challenges it. Here's a quick story. Ravi was convinced that a certain stock would go up. He read articles that confirmed it, watched YouTube videos that said the same. But when some experts gave warning signs, he dismissed them as negative. He only saw what he wanted to see. A month later, the stock crashed. And he realized he didn't do research. He just looked for proof to feel right. That's confirmation bias. To avoid it, ask, what evidence would prove me wrong? Am I being open to other views? Clear thinkers don't just look for proof, they look for truth. Bias 2. Overconfidence bias. Now let's talk about overconfidence bias. This is when you think you know more than you actually do. You feel certain about your decision, even if your knowledge is limited. Anika was starting a bakery. She was confident she didn't need a financial plan. I know people will love my cakes, she said. But 6 months in, she was struggling. Rent was high, supply costs were rising, and she hadn't planned for slow months. Her confidence had blinded her to reality. Confidence is good. But overconfidence can be dangerous. It shuts your ears. It makes you ignore risks. It stops you from asking for help. So, ask yourself, what don't I know? What could go wrong? Who can help me see what I'm missing? Bias 3. Availability bias. This is when your brain gives more importance to information that is recent, vivid, or emotionally charged. For example, if you see news about a plane crash, you might suddenly feel scared of flying, even though flying is statistically safer than driving. Or let's say you heard of one friend who started a business and failed. You might assume starting a business is always risky. But that's not logical, it's just emotionally available information influencing you. To beat this bias, don't trust only what's easy to recall. Look for actual data. Ask, is this true, or just recent and loud in my mind? Bias, sunk cost fallacy. This one is a silent killer of smart decisions. It happens when you continue with something just because you've already invested time, money, or energy in it, even if it no longer makes sense. Let's say you've watched a terrible movie for 1 hour. You want to leave, but you tell yourself, I already paid for the ticket, might as well stay. Or you stay in a relationship, a job, or a project longer than you should, just because of what you've already invested. But remember, throwing more time into a bad decision won't make it a good one. Clear thinkers don't ask, what have I spent? They ask, what's the right choice going forward? Why do we fall for these biases? Because our brain loves shortcuts. Every day, we make hundreds of tiny choices. Our mind uses patterns, habits, and feelings to save time. That's helpful, but also dangerous. Because shortcuts sometimes take you straight into the wrong decision. So the goal isn't to eliminate all biases, we can't. The goal is to be aware of them. To pause and question. To shine a light on blind spots. That awareness, that pause, is the beginning of clear thinking. This week, try this simple practice. Write down one decision you're facing. Ask yourself, am I only listening to what I already believe? Am I too sure of myself without data? Am I reacting to something recent or emotional? Am I holding on just because I've already invested? Just doing this will help you think more clearly. In the battle between clarity and confusion, knowledge is your sword. When you know your mind's blind spots, you can start to rise above them. You can pause, reflect, and shift the direction of your decisions. Remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your thinking. Make your thinking clear, and your decisions will follow. Chapter 3: Slow Thinking versus Fast Thinking, the two systems of your mind. Have you ever jumped to a conclusion, only to later realize you were completely wrong? Maybe you misread someone's tone in a message. Maybe you bought something expensive in a moment of excitement. Or maybe you fired off a quick reply to someone and regretted it the very next minute. That's not because you're foolish. That's because you were using what psychologists call fast thinking. And today, in this chapter, we're going to explore how your brain actually has two modes of thinking, one fast and automatic, the other slow and thoughtful. And once you understand how they work, you'll begin to make smarter, calmer, and more confident decisions. Let's dive in. Think of your mind like a car with two gears. The first gear is quick, automatic, and instinctive. The second gear is slower, more deliberate, and logical. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize for his research, calls these System 1 and System 2. Let's understand each of them. System 1 is your brain on autopilot. It helps you make split-second decisions. It's emotional, instinctive, and effortless. You use this kind of thinking when you recognize a friend's face, react to danger, drive on a familiar road, or say 2 + 2 = 4 without thinking. It's always on. It keeps you safe. And it saves your mental energy. But here's the problem. System 1 makes mistakes. It fills in gaps. It assumes. It jumps to conclusions. And when you rely on it for important decisions, you often end up making the wrong call. Now, System 2 is your thinking brain. This part of your mind is slower, but smarter. It kicks in when you really need to focus, analyze, and evaluate. You use System 2 when you solve a difficult math problem, plan your finances, reflect on your career path, or analyze a tough decision in your relationship. It takes effort. You actually have to concentrate to use this system. And that's why we often avoid it. We're wired to take shortcuts. But here's the truth. All wise decisions come from System 2. It's the part of your mind that pauses, that asks questions, that separates emotion from logic. Let me give you an example. Anjali worked in customer service. One day, she received a rude and angry email from a client. Her first reaction? She got upset. Furious, even. Her fast-thinking brain, System 1, wanted to hit reply and fire back. She started typing an angry response. She was ready to defend herself. But then, she paused. She took a breath. She stepped back. She let her slower, more thoughtful brain, System 2, take over. She reread the email, calmly this time. She realized the client wasn't actually attacking her, he was just frustrated about a late delivery. So she rewrote her reply, professional, empathetic, and helpful. The result? The client apologized the next day and thanked her for her support. That's the power of shifting from reaction to reflection. So the question is, how do you know when to use fast thinking and when to slow down? Let me walk you through a few simple clues. If you're in a dangerous or urgent situation, like crossing a road or avoiding a fall, fast thinking is your friend. You don't have time to pause and reflect. But if you're making a decision with long-term consequences, like choosing a career path, making an investment, or ending a relationship, slow thinking is absolutely necessary. If the task is familiar and simple, fast thinking is fine. But if the situation is new, complicated, or emotional, that's your signal to slow down. And here's a good test. If you're feeling angry, afraid, or too excited, pause. Emotions often hijack your fast thinking. So when emotions are high, wisdom is low. Use those intense feelings as a sign. That's the moment to breathe and bring in your slower, wiser self. Before you reply to a text, before you react to someone's comment, before you say yes to something, just take a breath. Count to 3. Ask yourself, am I reacting or responding? Am I seeing this clearly? Is this the kind of decision that needs deeper thought? This tiny pause can shift your brain from automatic to intentional, from careless to careful, from regret to clarity. Just like muscles in your body, your slow-thinking brain needs exercise. Here are a few ways to strengthen it. 1. Read deeply. Books that make you think strengthen focus. 2. Journal your thoughts. It slows your thinking down and reveals hidden patterns. 3. Solve puzzles or brain teasers. It activates logic. 4. Ask why and what if. These simple questions challenge your brain to go deeper. Over time, you'll build a habit of clear thinking. You'll start to catch yourself when you're rushing. You'll develop the wisdom to know when to speed up and when to slow down. So the next time you feel the urge to react quickly, take a moment. Step back. Let your thinking brain step forward. Because smart decisions aren't about speed. They're about clarity. Fast may win the race, but slow wins the right race. Remember, don't just react. Reflect. And when you reflect, you begin to rise. Chapter 4. Decision-making frameworks that work. Have you ever been stuck between two choices? And no matter how hard you think, you just can't decide? Maybe it's whether to take a new job, or whether to end a relationship, or even something simple like whether to speak up in a meeting. Sometimes, thinking harder doesn't help. What you need is a structure, a way to organize your thinking. That's where decision-making frameworks come in. In this chapter, I'll introduce you to some simple, powerful tools that can turn your confusion into clarity. You'll learn how to slow down, sort your thoughts, and make choices that are smarter and less stressful. Let's begin. Why use a framework? You see, when emotions run high, or when the options feel too overwhelming, our brains go into a kind of fog. We start second-guessing ourselves. We go in circles. And often, we just give up, or make a rush decision. Frameworks are like mental maps. They help you lay out the facts, see things clearly, and guide your brain step by step toward a solid answer. Think of them like recipes. Instead of guessing ingredients, you follow a structure. And that structure leads to better results. Let me share a few of the best ones. Framework 1. The classic pros and cons list. Yes, it's simple. But don't underestimate it. When you're torn between two options, writing down the pros and cons of each can give you instant clarity. Take Oriv, for example. He was trying to decide whether to relocate for a better job. On one side, the salary was higher. The career growth was tempting. But on the other side, he'd be leaving his aging parents and his tight-knit community. So he wrote it all down. And in that process, he realized something important. Money mattered, but not more than his peace of mind. He chose to stay. And he found other ways to grow where he was. That's the magic of writing. It pulls thoughts out of your head and puts them where you can see them. Framework 2. The 10-10-10 rule. This is a brilliant method when you're overwhelmed by emotions or urgency. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1. How will I feel about this decision 10 minutes from now? 2. How about 10 months from now? 3. And how about 10 years from now? This expands your perspective from short-term emotion to long-term wisdom. Let me tell you about Sneha. She had a heated argument with her boss. In the moment, she wanted to quit immediately. But before doing anything, she used the 10-10-10 rule. She asked, how will I feel 10 minutes after quitting? Answer, relieved, but also scared. How will I feel in 10 months? Maybe jobless. Maybe regretting it. And in 10 years? She might laugh at this moment, or learn from it. So instead of quitting, she took a break, cooled off, and later had a respectful conversation that actually improved her work relationship. That's how a 10-10-10 moment can save you from a lifetime of regret. Framework 3, Second-Order Thinking. This one's a bit deeper, but incredibly powerful. Most people make decisions based on first-order consequences, what happens immediately. But smart thinkers go a step further. They ask, and then what? Let's say you're thinking of eating junk food. First-order effect? It tastes great. But second-order effect? You feel sluggish later. Third-order effect? You fall behind in your fitness goals. Now flip it. Imagine waking up early to exercise. First order? It's hard. You're tired. Second order? You feel energized afterward. Third order? You build discipline and long-term health. Second-order thinking helps you look beyond the now and make decisions your future self will thank you for. Framework 4, Reversible versus Irreversible Decisions. Here's a quick mindset shift you can use today. Ask yourself, is this decision permanent, or can I change it later? Because if a decision is reversible, don't overthink it. Try it. Test it. Learn from it. But if it's irreversible, like choosing a life partner, signing a long-term contract, or quitting a stable job, slow down. Think it through. Get advice. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos uses this logic. He calls reversible decisions Type 2, quick, experimental, and irreversible ones Type 1, the ones you can't afford to mess up. This approach saves energy, reduces stress, and helps you move faster when you can, and slower when you must. Framework 5, The Values Filter. Sometimes, the right decision isn't the easiest or the most logical. It's the one that aligns with your values. So when in doubt, ask, which option is more aligned with the kind of person I want to be? For example, Rishi had a chance to work on a high-paying project that involved misleading clients. It looked good on paper. But deep down, he felt uneasy. So he paused. He asked himself, do I want to be someone who compromises honesty for money? The answer was clear. He declined the offer, and later found a better one that matched both his skills and his integrity. Values are like a compass. When logic is confusing, your values will always point you in the right direction. Sometimes the best framework is another person's perspective. Talking things out can reveal what you already know, deep down. So ask a mentor, a close friend, or even your future self, what would the wiser version of me say? Because clarity isn't about knowing everything. It's about being honest with what you already feel and giving it structure. In the end, no tool can guarantee a perfect decision. But a good framework gives you a better process. And a better process leads to better outcomes. So next time you're stuck at a crossroads, don't spin in circles. Pick a framework. Follow the steps. And trust that clarity will follow. Because wise decisions don't come from pressure. They come from structure, stillness, and self-trust. Chapter 5. Managing Emotions While Making Decisions. Let me ask you something honest. Have you ever made a decision you knew wasn't right, but you made it anyway, just because you were angry? Or anxious? Or scared to disappoint someone? You see, most people think decision-making is all about logic and facts. But the truth is, emotions drive most of our decisions. Sometimes quietly. Sometimes loudly. And if we don't know how to manage them, emotions can completely cloud our clarity. In this chapter, let's talk about the emotional side of decision-making and how to stay grounded when your feelings try to take the wheel. First, understand this. Emotions are not bad. They are not your enemy. In fact, emotions carry important messages. Fear can protect you. Excitement can energize you. Sadness can point to what really matters to you. Anger can signal injustice or crossed boundaries. But when emotions are unprocessed or unregulated, they can overpower your ability to think clearly. Imagine trying to drive through heavy fog. That's what it's like to make decisions in the middle of emotional overwhelm. So, the goal isn't to remove emotions. It's to understand them and give them space without letting them take control. Let's take the story of Asher. She had been offered a great job in another city. Higher pay. Exciting role. But she hesitated. Why? Every time she thought about saying yes, her chest tightened. She kept thinking, what if I don't fit in? What if I fail? One evening, she sat down with a friend and admitted, I don't know what's wrong with me. I should be excited. Her friend asked, are you afraid of the job, or are you afraid of change? That question hit hard. Asha realized it wasn't the job that scared her, it was the emotional weight of leaving behind her comfort zone, her family, her known world. Once she recognized the emotion, fear of change, it became easier to work through. She wasn't paralyzed anymore. She was prepared. And she took the job, not with fear, but with clarity. Here are 5 practical techniques to manage emotions without ignoring them. 1. Pause before deciding. This may sound simple, but it's powerful. When you're emotionally triggered, the worst thing you can do is rush. Your brain switches into fight or flight mode, and logical thinking shuts down. So instead of reacting, pause. Step away from the situation. Take a walk. Sleep on it. That pause creates space between emotion and action. And in that space, clarity is born. 2. Name what you feel. You can't manage what you don't recognize. So when emotions rise, ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling? Is it fear? Guilt? Pressure? Shame? Excitement? Is this emotion about the decision or something else? You'd be surprised how many bad decisions come from misplaced emotions. Like saying yes to something out of guilt. Or saying no out of fear. When you name the feeling, you stop being a victim of it, and you start making choices around it. 3. Regulate your nervous system. When emotions run high, your nervous system goes into stress mode. So the smartest thing you can do is calm your body first. Here's how. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Splash cold water on your face. Go for a short walk. Journal your feelings, even for 5 minutes. These small actions send a signal to your brain. I'm safe. I don't need to panic. I can think clearly. Your body is the gateway to your mind. If you calm your body, your mind follows. 4. Separate emotion from action. Feel your feelings. Always. But don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. You can feel angry, and still choose not to send that harsh text. You can feel afraid, and still say yes to the opportunity. You can feel guilty, and still set a boundary. Let your emotions inform you, not control you. Here's a helpful phrase. I'm feeling this, but I don't have to act on it yet. 5. Ask, what would the calm version of me do? This is a great tool when you're emotionally flooded. Just ask yourself, if I were calm, grounded, and thinking clearly, what would I do? You don't need to have all the answers right away. You just need to create a little distance between you and the emotion. You'll be amazed at how quickly wisdom steps in when panic steps out. Sometimes, emotions aren't just noise. They carry truth. If you feel hurt, maybe something valuable to you was disrespected. If you feel nervous, maybe you care deeply about the outcome. If you feel guilty, maybe your action clashed with your values. Use your emotions as data, not directions. Don't ignore them. Decode them. Next time you have to make a decision, try this. 1. Pause. 2. Take 3 deep breaths. 3. Ask yourself, what emotion am I feeling? Is it helping or clouding my judgment? What would my calm self do right now? Even this short reflection can move you from emotional chaos to mental clarity. In the journey of clear thinking, emotions are not roadblocks, they are road signs. They show you where to slow down, where to turn, and where your values lie. But remember this. You are not your emotions. You are the one who notices them. And when you learn to manage what you feel, you take back the steering wheel of your decisions. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. Feel. Reflect. And choose with calm, not chaos. Because clarity begins where reactivity ends. Chapter 6. The role of intuition in smart decisions. Let's begin with a question most people avoid. Can you trust your gut? You know that feeling. When something doesn't feel right, even though everything looks fine on the surface. Or when something just feels right, even if there's no clear reason. That's your intuition speaking. Some call it instinct. Others call it inner wisdom. And while modern society often worships logic and data, intuition remains one of the most powerful and mysterious tools we have. But when should you trust it? When should you question it? And how do you sharpen it so it becomes your ally, not your enemy? Let's explore. What exactly is intuition? Intuition is your brain's ability to recognize patterns without conscious reasoning. It's the mental shortcut that tells you something's off in a situation, even when you can't explain why. But here's the interesting part. Intuition is not magic. It's not guesswork. It's actually a form of rapid, subconscious processing. Your brain has stored years of experiences, memories, feelings, and outcomes. And sometimes, it makes connections faster than your logical brain can. That's why great artists, athletes, leaders, and even firefighters talk about trusting their gut. They're not guessing. They're accessing knowledge that runs deeper than words. Raj was a venture capitalist. One day, a young entrepreneur came in with a flawless pitch. The numbers were solid. The deck was perfect. The projections looked amazing. But halfway through the meeting, Raj felt something off. He couldn't explain it, but something in the founder's energy didn't sit right. Maybe it was forced confidence. Maybe it was how he dodged certain questions. Raj politely declined the investment. 6 months later, that startup collapsed due to hidden financial issues. Was Raj lucky? No. His intuition picked up on subtle signals his conscious mind missed. That's the quiet power of intuition, especially when it's backed by experience. So, when should you listen to your gut? Here are a few situations where intuition is often reliable. 1. When you have experience in that area. Intuition becomes sharper the more you practice and learn. A seasoned doctor can often sense what's wrong before tests confirm it. An experienced teacher can feel when a student is hiding something. A business leader may detect a deal that feels too good to be true. In these cases, intuition is simply fast-track wisdom. So if you've spent years in a field, your gut is worth listening to. 2. When logic hits a wall. Sometimes, all the analysis still leads to confusion. You've made the pros and cons list. You've weighed the data. But something still feels unclear. In that fog, intuition can act like a compass. You don't always need to explain why something feels right. You just need to honor that internal signal and look deeper. 3. When you feel calm, not fearful. Real intuition often comes from a place of calm clarity. It's not loud. It's not panicky. It's not driven by fear or pressure. In fact, if you feel urgent, desperate, or overly emotional, that's not intuition. That's likely anxiety or impulse pretending to be your inner voice. So ask yourself, is this a calm inner nudge or an emotional reaction in disguise? That question alone can prevent many poor choices. When not to trust intuition blindly. As powerful as it is, intuition has limits. It can be wrong, especially when shaped by biases or trauma. For example, someone who was betrayed in a past relationship may feel suspicious in every new relationship, even when there's no real reason. That's not intuition. That's a wound. Or someone raised in fear may have a gut feeling to avoid every risk, even healthy ones. So remember this. Not every gut feeling is guidance. Some are just echoes of old pain. Learn to tell the difference. How to strengthen your intuition. Good news. Intuition is not just a gift, it's a skill you can develop. Here's how. 1. Spend time in stillness. Noise kills intuition. When your mind is constantly distracted by screens, notifications, and other people's opinions, you lose touch with your inner compass. Make time for quiet. Sit with your thoughts. Go for silent walks. Meditate, journal, or simply be still. In the quiet, your true voice gets louder. 2. Reflect on past decisions. Look back at moments when you did follow your gut, and it worked. Also, look at when you ignored it and regretted it. What did it feel like in those moments? Was there a pattern in how your body reacted? The more you reflect, the more you'll learn your own inner language. 3. Combine intuition with logic. The best decisions often come from a blend of both. Use logic to lay out the facts. Then use intuition to feel into them. For example, I know this job pays more. But do I feel energized or drained when I think about it? This partnership looks smart on paper. But do I feel a deep yes or a quiet no? The mind gathers information. The gut interprets it. Together, they become wisdom. In a world full of noise, intuition is your quiet guide. It won't scream. It won't demand. But if you learn to listen, it will always speak. And often, the deepest wisdom doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from tuning in. So the next time you're faced with a hard decision, try this. Gather your facts. Ask for advice if needed. Then find a moment of silence and ask yourself, what does my inner compass say? You might be surprised by the clarity that rises from within. Trust your mind. Trust your heart. And most importantly, trust the voice that speaks when everything else goes quiet. Chapter 7. Clarity Under Pressure, Making Decisions in Tough Moments. Imagine this. You have 5 minutes to make a decision that could change your life. The pressure is high. People are watching. Emotions are rising. Your heart races. Your thoughts scatter. And suddenly, your mind goes blank. This is what pressure does. It shrinks your thinking. It hijacks your logic. It triggers survival mode. But here's the truth. You don't need to be fearless to make great decisions under pressure. You just need a few simple tools to stay grounded, focused, and clear, even when the world around you feels chaotic. In this chapter, you'll learn how to think straight in stressful situations, handle emotional storms, and make confident decisions when the heat is on. When you're under pressure, your brain enters a mode called fight, flight, or freeze. It's a survival response. Your body thinks you're in danger, so it prioritizes fast reaction over deep thinking. The result? Tunnel vision, racing thoughts, shallow breathing, and poor decisions. You can't plan clearly in panic mode. So the first step is learning how to calm your nervous system before you respond. Because calm isn't just a feeling, it's a superpower. Vikram was a brilliant engineer. But he dreaded public speaking. One day, he had to present a project to senior leadership. He knew the material inside out, but 5 minutes before the meeting, he started to panic. His hands were sweaty. His heart raced. His mind felt blank. But instead of spiraling, he stepped outside for a moment. He closed his eyes. Took 3 slow, deep breaths. He whispered to himself, "You've done this. You're prepared. Just start." He walked in. He didn't try to be perfect. He just focused on explaining one idea at a time. The presentation wasn't flawless, but it was authentic. And it impressed the room. What made the difference? Not his intelligence. Not his slides. His ability to stay calm under pressure. Let's walk through a few practical tools to help you stay sharp when it matters most. 1. Breathe before you decide. This may sound too simple, but it's backed by science. When you take a deep breath, in through your nose, out through your mouth, your body shifts from stress mode to calm mode. Try this in any high-pressure moment. Stop for just 10 seconds, inhale slowly for a count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. This sends a signal to your brain. I'm safe. I can think clearly. One breath won't solve your problems, but it creates space for better thinking. 2. Buy yourself time. Pressure often comes with urgency. But here's a secret, you usually have more time than you think. Before making a big call, try saying, "Let me think about that and get back to you shortly. Can I sleep on this and respond tomorrow? Let me take a moment to process before I decide." Most of the time, people respect thoughtfulness more than instant answers. So don't be afraid to slow things down, even just a little. Time brings perspective. And perspective brings better choices. 3. Focus on the next best step. When you're overwhelmed, don't try to solve everything. Just find the next right move. Ask yourself, what's the smallest thing I can do right now to move forward? What's the clearest part of this messy situation? Big problems become manageable when you break them into steps. Don't think about the entire mountain, just take the next step up the path. 4. Stick to your values. Pressure often tempts you to act out of fear, guilt, or people-pleasing. But tough moments are when your values matter the most. Ask, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? What decision would I respect a year from now? What's right, not just what's easy. Let your values guide you when your emotions try to trick you. That's how you stay proud of your decisions, even when they are hard. 5. Speak it out loud. Pressure isolates us. It tells us we're alone. But decisions get lighter when you share the load. So if you're struggling, speak to someone you trust. A mentor, a friend, a calm outside voice. Sometimes, just saying the situation out loud helps you hear what your inner wisdom already knows. You don't have to carry pressure silently. Pressure doesn't just create stress. It also reveals what matters most. It forces you to choose. It sharpens your focus. It makes you aware of what's really important and what's just noise. So instead of fearing pressure, use it. Let it reveal what truly deserves your energy. You will face tough moments. You will be tested by deadlines, emotions, and uncertainty. But you don't have to be fearless. You just have to be present. Pause. Breathe. Reflect. Don't try to make the perfect decision. Make the clear one. The grounded one. The one you can stand behind with your head held high. Because real strength isn't about always knowing the answer. It's about staying calm long enough to find it. Chapter 8. Avoiding analysis paralysis when overthinking blocks action. Have you ever thought about something so much that you ended up doing nothing? Maybe you kept switching between two choices. Maybe you researched every possible angle. Maybe you asked 10 different people for advice and still couldn't decide. Welcome to the trap of analysis paralysis. It's when the search for the perfect decision becomes so overwhelming. You freeze. In this chapter, we'll explore why overthinking happens, how it sabotages clear thinking, and, most importantly, how to break free so you can move forward with confidence and peace. Why we overthink. Let's be honest, you overthink because you care. You want to make the right decision. You want to avoid mistakes. You want to control the outcome. But ironically, the more you try to control, the more you lose control of your clarity. Why? Because your brain wasn't designed to handle infinite options. When you keep feeding it more data, more possibilities, more what ifs, it short circuits. It says, I don't know what to choose, so I'll just keep thinking. And thinking becomes your way of avoiding choosing. Neha had 2 job offers. One with a big company and a stable paycheck. The other with a startup that aligned with her passion, but had risks. She made spreadsheets. She asked friends. She researched the companies. She wrote journal entries every night. 3 weeks passed. Still no decision. Eventually, one of the offers expired. And with it, she felt both relief and regret. Her overthinking had made the choice for her, by doing nothing. That's the hidden cost of analysis paralysis. Missed chances, wasted energy, and deep mental fatigue. Here's how to know if you're stuck in overanalysis. You keep asking the same questions, but never get closer to an answer. You wait for the perfect time, the perfect sign, or the perfect feeling. You feel mentally drained just from thinking about deciding. You avoid committing because you're afraid of regret. Sound familiar? Don't worry. The solution isn't to stop thinking, it's to start thinking differently. Let's go through a few powerful tools to escape analysis paralysis and make decisions with more ease. 1. Set a decision deadline. One reason we overthink is because there's no finish line. So your brain keeps spinning. Fix this by giving yourself a clear deadline. For example, I will choose by Friday evening. I'll think for one more day, then I'll decide. If I don't choose in 24 hours, I'll go with option A. Deadlines create momentum. They shift your brain from perfection to progress. 2. Define what good enough means. Perfection is the enemy of action. So ask yourself, what does a good enough decision look like here? Am I trying to make the perfect choice, or just a solid one I can live with? Sometimes, 80% clarity is enough. Don't wait for the stars to align. Choose when it's clear enough, not flawless. 3. Limit your information intake. More information isn't always better. At a certain point, it becomes noise. So set a rule. I'll only talk to 2 people for advice. I'll read 3 reviews, then decide. I'll research for 30 minutes, then take action. Remember, clarity doesn't come from more, it comes from enough. 4. Flip a coin, then notice your reaction. This sounds silly, but it works. Assign one option to heads, the other to tails. Flip a coin. When it lands, observe your gut reaction. Do you feel excited? Relieved? Disappointed? That feeling tells you more than hours of thinking. The coin isn't your decider, it's just a tool to tap into what you already feel. 5. Make peace with uncertainty. Here's the truth most people avoid. No decision comes with complete certainty. Every choice has unknowns, risks, possible regrets. So the goal isn't to remove all uncertainty. The goal is to become comfortable with some uncertainty. Remind yourself, I can't control every outcome, but I can trust myself to handle what comes next. That mindset turns fear into freedom. Feeling stuck? Try this. 1. Set a timer for 5 minutes. 2. Write down your top 2 options. 3. For each one, list 3 pros and 3 cons. 4. Then ask, which one feels more aligned with my values? Which one moves me closer to who I want to become? 5. Then, decide. You don't need a lifetime of thinking. You just need 5 minutes of clarity and courage. Clarity doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from thinking clearly and then acting. So if you're stuck in endless loops of what if your mind keeps spinning but your feet won't move, take a breath. Set a limit. Pick a direction. And remember, you don't need the perfect decision. You just need a brave one. Progress begins when overthinking ends. Chapter 9. How to learn from bad decisions without losing confidence. Let's be honest. No matter how thoughtful, careful, or smart you are, you will make a bad decision at some point. Maybe it's a career move that doesn't work out. Maybe it's trusting someone who lets you down. Maybe it's a business choice, a health choice, or something as personal as a relationship. And when it happens, the voice inside you whispers, I knew it. I should have seen it coming. Why did I do that? Maybe I'm just not good at making decisions. But here's the truth. Making a bad decision doesn't mean you're bad at decisions. It just means you're human. In this chapter, we'll explore how to bounce back from poor choices, learn from them with wisdom, and most importantly, move forward without losing your self-belief. Mistakes are not failures, they are feedback. Let's start with a powerful mindset shift. A mistake is not the end of the road. It's information. Every poor decision has something to teach you. What assumptions you made. What red flags you ignored. What fears or biases drove you. What you need to do differently next time. In fact, some of your biggest growth will come from your biggest missteps. So don't run from bad decisions. Turn and face them, with curiosity instead of shame. Arjun launched an online product. He poured 6 months into it, design, branding, content, ads. But the launch flopped. Hardly any sales. Negative feedback. And a deep sense of failure. For weeks, Arjun avoided talking about it. He thought about giving up entirely. But then, a mentor asked him, what if this wasn't a failure, but a first draft? That one question shifted everything. Arjun looked at his data. Listened to customer feedback. He realized he was solving the wrong problem. His product didn't match his audience's actual need. So he reworked the offer, changed his approach, and on his second launch, he tripled his results. The failure wasn't the end, it was the lesson he needed. Let's walk through a process that can turn regret into clarity. 1. Acknowledge it, without drama. Say it out loud. That didn't go the way I hoped. I made a decision that didn't serve me. I missed something important. Owning the outcome isn't weakness. It's strength. What hurts more than the decision itself is when we avoid it, deny it, or bury it under blame. Clarity begins with honesty. 2. Ask, what was I thinking and feeling at the time? Go back to that moment. Try to understand. What did I believe back then? What was I afraid of? Was I pressured, exhausted, overly optimistic? This isn't about judging yourself. It's about understanding your mindset so you can grow beyond it. You'll often find that your past self did the best they could with what they knew at the time. And that's okay. 3. Extract the lesson. Every bad decision carries a message. Maybe the lesson is, I need to do more research next time. I ignored my gut, I won't do that again. I rushed under pressure, I'll give myself more space. Write it down. Say it out loud. Share it with someone you trust. Lessons aren't powerful until you make them conscious. 4. Apply it forward. Ask yourself, how can I use this lesson in my next decision? What systems or habits can I create to prevent this in the future? How will I spot this red flag next time? Learning from failure is only complete when it influences your next move. Otherwise, it becomes a repeated pattern. 5. Forgive yourself. This is the hardest part for many people, but it's also the most healing. Say to yourself, I made a mistake. But I am not my mistake. I am learning, evolving, and improving. This moment is not my identity. It's a stepping stone. Self-forgiveness is not letting yourself off the hook, it's releasing the shame so you can move forward with strength. Here's a quick tool for reflecting on any decision you regret. 1. Recognize what went wrong. 2. Reflect on why it happened. 3. Reset your mindset with the lesson. Try journaling this or speaking it aloud. It clears emotional weight and turns pain into progress. In the story of every successful person, there are moments of poor judgment, wrong turns, and regret. But what separates the wise from the stuck is this. The wise learn. They face the mistake. They pull out the gold. And they move forward, a little stronger, a little wiser. So if you've made a decision you regret, you're not broken. You're becoming. And the next time life asks you to choose again, you'll be ready. Not because you'll never fail, but because you'll never stop learning. Chapter 10. Building Daily Habits for Better Thinking and Decision-Making. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. When it comes to thinking clearly and making better decisions, it's not just about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do every day. Small, repeatable habits create the mental environment where clarity lives. They build the muscle of awareness, discipline, and direction. So in this chapter, we're going to explore the simple, doable routines that, over time, help you think better, choose smarter, and live with less confusion and regret. Because your future isn't built in one big leap. It's built in quiet, daily steps. Why habits matter for clear thinking. Let's start with a truth that surprises many people. Clarity isn't a gift, it's a practice. You don't wake up one day suddenly better at making decisions. You train your brain, like a muscle, with small daily actions. Every day, you either strengthen your focus, your awareness, your emotional balance, or you feed distraction, stress, mental clutter. It's your choice, and habits make that choice automatic. Mira used to wake up, grab her phone, and scroll through emails and social media the moment her eyes opened. She noticed something strange. By 9 a.m., she was already anxious. Her thoughts were scattered. Her decisions felt reactive. Then she made one small change. She gave herself 10 quiet minutes each morning before touching her phone. She sat in silence, breathed, wrote one intention for the day. That's it. Within a few weeks, her entire day felt calmer. Her choices felt more deliberate. All from a 10-minute habit. That's the power of consistency over intensity. Let's walk through a few high-impact habits you can start today. These aren't time-consuming or complicated. They are simple, flexible, and incredibly effective. 1. The morning clarity moment. Start your day with intention, not reaction. Before checking your phone, give yourself space to breathe and think. Try one of the following. Sit silently with your breath. Write down one thing you want to focus on today. Ask yourself, what matters most today? This sets your mental tone, so you lead your day, instead of letting your day lead you. 2. The Daily Decision Journal. At the end of each day, jot down one decision you made, why you made it, how it turned out, what you learned. This habit builds awareness of your patterns. It helps you spot what's working and what's not. Over time, you'll start noticing your own blind spots and decision triggers, and that's gold. 3. Mental decluttering. Clutter isn't just physical, it's mental, too. Once a week, pause and ask yourself, what thoughts are taking up too much space? What am I worrying about that I can't control? What can I let go of? Write it down. Clear it out. A clear mind creates space for better decisions. 4. The digital fast. Our phones and screens constantly bombard us with inputs. And when your brain is overloaded, your thinking slows down. So once a day, or even a few times a week, unplug for 1 hour. No notifications. No scrolling. No distractions. Let your mind breathe. You'll be amazed how creative, calm, and sharp you feel afterward. 5. Move your body to clear your mind. Physical movement isn't just good for your body, it's fuel for your brain. Go for a walk. Stretch. Dance. Do yoga. Whatever suits you. Movement helps process emotions, release tension, and sharpen mental clarity. Some of your best decisions won't come while sitting still, they'll come while moving. Ask yourself, 1. What went well today? 2. What decision did I struggle with? 3. What can I improve next time? These 3 questions take just a few minutes, but they give you priceless insight. They move you from autopilot to awareness. And awareness is the beginning of all clarity. How to stick to these habits. You don't need to do all of them. Start with just one. Attach it to something you already do. For example, after brushing your teeth, sit for 5 quiet minutes. Before lunch, write down one thing you're avoiding. After work, walk for 15 minutes with no phone. Small wins build momentum. And habits aren't about perfection, they're about consistency. Great decisions don't come from occasional brilliance. They come from daily alignment. From showing up for yourself in small ways. From choosing stillness over noise. From building a mind that's clear, curious, and calm. So don't wait for a breakthrough. Become the kind of person who makes wise choices, one habit at a time. Your mind is a garden. Water it. Weed it. Nourish it. And soon, clear thinking will become your natural way of being. Chapter 11. Living with Clarity and Confidence. You've reached the end of this journey. 10 chapters of insight, stories, tools, and gentle reminders. All pointing toward one simple goal. To help you think more clearly and make better decisions. And maybe now you understand. Clear thinking isn't just a mental skill. It's a way of living. It's how you show up, in your relationships, your work, your habits, and your dreams. It's how you navigate uncertainty. How you respond to challenges. And how you make choices you can live with, not just logically, but emotionally and spiritually too. Aditya had always believed that big decisions needed big moments. He waited for signs. For clarity. For certainty. But one day, while sipping tea alone at sunrise, he realized. Clarity doesn't shout. It whispers. It comes in quiet moments, when you slow down enough to hear it. He stopped waiting for perfect timing. And started listening to himself, calmly, honestly, and without pressure. And that's when everything changed. Because the answers were always inside him. He just had to get quiet enough to hear them. As you step away from this audiobook, here's what I want you to remember. 1. Clarity comes with stillness. In a loud, fast world, the clearest minds belong to those who pause. You don't need to rush into every decision. Sometimes the smartest move is to breathe, reflect, and wait. 2. Simplicity is strength. Complicated thinking often hides simple truths. When in doubt, ask. What really matters here? What do I know to be true right now? Let go of noise. Return to what's essential. 3. You don't need perfect decisions. There's no such thing. What matters more than being right is being intentional. Being honest. Being willing to learn. Mistakes are not failures, they are teachers. Let them shape you, not shame you. 4. Trust yourself. The more you listen to your thoughts without judgment, the more you reflect on your values, the more you show up for yourself daily, the more confidence you'll naturally build. You are wiser than you think. Give yourself permission to trust that wisdom. You now carry a simple but powerful inner toolkit. Awareness, reflection, daily clarity habits, thoughtful decision frameworks, emotional self-regulation, self-trust. Use these tools often. Polish them. Practice them. Over time, they'll become second nature. And so will clarity. You don't need more information. You don't need to solve everything at once. And you definitely don't need to control every outcome. What you need is this: a calm mind, a clear heart, and the courage to take the next small step. Because clarity isn't found in the future. It's created in the present, by choosing to show up, fully awake and fully honest. So take a deep breath. Thank yourself for taking this journey. And remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be clear enough to begin.